You're listening to the Life Coaching Secrets Podcast, episode number 79. Did you know that life coaches are needed now more than ever? I'm Frank Macri, founder of Thriving Coach Academy. I've trained over 1,000 coaches and helped them launch their own successful coaching businesses. If you want to make an incredible income and impact as a coach and have a lot of fun doing it, I'll show you exactly how to get it done. This is Life Coaching Secrets. My loneliness is killing me. Name that song. Okay, so in this episode, I'm going to talk about entrepreneurial loneliness. And this is something that isn't really talked about in the coaching space, in the entrepreneurial space, in the online business space, but it's a real challenge that a lot of entrepreneurs go through. And to be real with you all, it's something that I also struggled with for a period of time and went through a funk for a while, not really sure what it was about, and realized that it was loneliness. So, by the way, Hit Me Baby One More Time was the song by Britney Spears earlier. Hopefully everybody knows that one. So let's talk about loneliness, because loneliness is a very, very painful experience. And, you know, I'm someone that really does enjoy my time of solitude. I like working independently. I have a team with Thriving Coach Academy. A lot of the team is self-led. So, you know, they know what their role is, and I'm in touch with them and I support them and everything. But, you know, we're not like all working together around a table or at like an office at a desk or something. So I've created over the years a business where I am my own boss. And even before I was running the academy, I was running a business as a life coach, and before I started training coaches. So one of the things that made that so fun is having the freedom to be your own boss and not having to answer to anybody and getting to call all the shots and make all the decisions. And it truly does allow you to live a life of so much freedom. And freedom is one of my top values. It's a value I see a lot of coaches have, and that's what draws them to this work. So, you know, I thought, what could be better than that? Having a total life of freedom where you have all of the ability to really design a life that you love. And I still believe all those things. And I still believe that coaching is the absolute best career for anybody that wants freedom and that wants to make an impact, do meaningful work, and, you know, truly offer a contribution to the world. But here's how the loneliness hit me, because I wasn't expecting it. And, you know, I want to keep this really raw. I didn't really script out or outline a lot for this episode. I want to keep it raw and real with you, so that way, you know, you can learn from my experience, because maybe you've already experienced this in your own journey as a coach, or if not, you might experience it. So a couple of other factual things to know about me. I am currently single. I don't have kids, so I live by myself. And, you know, I think that also played a role into everything as well. So I noticed that as I built up my success with my coaching business, as I had more freedom in my life, I realized that I had no one to really share the freedom with. I, you know, wanted to go on all these trips and vacation and travel, and all my other people in my life, like friends and family, were working their 9-to-5 jobs. So I thought, oh, well, that's kind of a bummer, because I want to enjoy this life of freedom, but I want to enjoy it and share it with somebody. And then another part was the flexibility of working from home. So on one hand, I thought, and still do think, this is so great. I get to work from home. I get to work from my laptop wherever I want to be. Like recently, I went on a trip to Italy, And, I was able to do a little bit of work while I was out there. After I'd, adventured throughout the Italian cities, I'd be able to come back to the hotel I was staying in and do some work. And I thought, this is incredible. I'm able to take my business wherever I go. I'm location independent. And I have this flexibility to work from my home, except that on the flip side of that, the challenge I realized I was having is that I'm working from home, but there's really no one around me. So again, there was that lack of social connection. And then with the pandemic that happened and everything shutting down, I stayed inside like everyone did for that period of time. You stayed inside, and even more of my social interaction became limited. I even bought equipment and created a home gym. I guess it was early in 2021. And, it's wild when I look back on that period now, because for many months, the only human that I would be in touch with face to face was my personal trainer. I had a personal trainer that would come to my apartment 2 or 3 times a week. And that trainer would come do an hour-long workout with me in my home gym, and then the trainer would leave. And for a long time, it seemed that was the only human interaction I had. So I noticed that I was kind of getting into a funk. And for a long time, I couldn't figure out what was going on. I didn't know if there was something off about me, or I couldn't really figure it out. And I talked with a lot of coaches about it. I talked even with therapists about it. And, by the way, coaches have coaches, and that's okay. That's encouraged. We want that. I believe all the best coaches have coaches. So I was doing a lot of work to figure out what was happening for me. And I realized that it was loneliness. It was that I was spending too much time by myself. And it was something that I really had needed to address. And one of the things that I also know, this is research done in positive psychology. And we teach positive psychology inside the academy. It's a continuing education course we teach, positive psychology. So it's all research done on really how to create a life worth living. And one of the things found around what creates a truly happy and meaningful life is that you need to have 6 to 7 hours of human interaction a day. And sometimes it's even more than that. For some people, it's 8 to 9 hours. But when I heard that and learned that statistic and that data, I realized I was so very far off of that, and no wonder why I was feeling in a funk. And it's interesting because even when I would look back on that time when I was, feeling a little bit low, my highest moments in my days were the moments when I was in our virtual classroom, teaching our coaches and supporting them, being in touch with them. I noticed that I always loved those moments. I never felt like I was in a low energy period or in a funk when I was in the classroom. It's like something just snapped and switched for me. But then when I was outside of a virtual classroom, I went back to just my life by myself, all by myself. And it was the loneliness that was getting to me. And I know that I'm not alone. I've talked with a lot of entrepreneurs, and I know that this is sometimes a challenge a lot of entrepreneurs go through, as they feel like they're in their own little bubble. And it's hard to, like, a lot of people might not understand your life as an entrepreneur. They might not understand your life running a coaching business or even an online business. So there's some kind of challenge it could be for people to relate to you, and you might not know who to really talk to help you through this, who's really going to get you and understand you. So I wanted to make this episode to share this with you and also reveal to you the simple steps that I incorporated into my life that made all of the difference for me, that really helped me get out of this funk. And it allowed me to, like really feel connected and enjoy enjoy the life I created for myself. Because like I know that there's that expression that success, it's lonely at the top or things like that. And I think that while that could be a rule for some people, it doesn't have to be a rule for you when you learn how to incorporate what I'm going to share with you here. So here's just a few of the strategies that I realized made a huge difference in my life. Number one is creating some structure in your day. So when you're your own boss, when you are running your own business, you have the freedom to decide when you want to do things and when you don't want to do things. However, when you have a lack of structure in your day, it could be kind of disorienting and it could throw you off a bit. So it's really important to have a reason to get out of bed every morning, okay? Because I noticed that even some days as I was feeling lonely, I wasn't as inspired to get out of bed in the morning, and I would stay in bed a little bit longer than usually. And, I had certain calls with clients later on in the day, but I'm like, why am I not getting out of bed before that? It was just like something was off. So what I realized needed to happen is creating some structure in my day that kind of forced me to get out of bed, give me a reason to get out of bed and jumpstart my day. And I've talked about in previous episodes that, I've not really been a morning bird. I love that I get to like not wake up at 5 or 6 or 7 a.m. And for a lot of people, that's totally fine. You really just, figure out your internal clock and what is your ideal time for being awake and your ideal time for sleep. I think for everyone, it's a little bit different. Not everyone works in this 9 to 5 mentality that is so very much pushed on us from corporate culture. So you figure out over time what works for you. Where is your optimal energy level found throughout your day? So I know for me, it was really around like that 9, 10 a.m. time to get up and start my day. And I noticed that when I was in that funk and going through that loneliness, I started to not have as much structure, and I, would stay in bed longer than I wanted to. So one of the things I did, because again, I'm my own boss, and you're likely your own boss too, or you will be your own boss when you become a business. So I want you to learn just from like the lessons that I've experienced. So what I did to create more structure is I put things into my calendar that forced me out of bed and even forced me out of my house every morning. So I signed up at a local gym called Orange Theory, and some of you might know what Orange Theory is. You've probably seen them because they're in most major cities. I think they're international at this point, and it's a 1 hour cardio class, group class, and it's definitely not easy. But it's also not overwhelmingly intense. But it gets you moving. It gets your heart pounding, and usually it's a mix of treadmill and rower and some weightlifting. And what I would do is I would intentionally register for their earlier classes when I knew like I was going to need to get myself up out of bed and dressed and in the car and at the actual gym. So that way I would be there on time, because if you're late, they don't let you in after you're a few minutes late. Because they don't want to disrupt the class, which is a very reasonable policy to have. So I had a lot of resistance at first, but then I remember the first day that I left one of those Orange Theory classes. I felt like I was on top of the world. Like I had all this energy, and I felt like I had so much more of the day available to me, and I felt like I accomplished so much, and the day had just started. So I was just on such a high, and I was so much more productive after just that one day than I had been in months. Now, you don't have to go through Orange Theory or that exact thing, but you just want to think, what is something that will kind of force you or have, it's like, when I say force, I mean like positive pressure. I talked about that in a previous episode, the importance of having something that pushes you to show up in a fuller way to your life. Okay, so it is something that you want to have that gives you some positive pressure, that nudge to jump out of bed and start your day. Because you might find when you finally have that freedom as an entrepreneur, you're like, okay, well, I'm just not going to leave my bed. I'm just going to, enjoy doing nothing. And of course, that's not going to be, healthy or productive for you in the long run. So that's one of the things I did is I had structure in the beginning of my day that I always needed to make sure that I was showing up for. So I had Orange Theory for a few days, and I also incorporated yoga once a week. So I found a nearby yoga studio, and every I think it's every Friday, I had, and still to this day, go to a yoga studio, gets me out of bed, jumpstarts my day. And also the other benefit to doing the Orange Theory workouts and the yoga class is that other people are involved in those experiences. So if you're working by yourself and if you're working at home, you want to think, and even if you're introverted, because I'm an introvert myself, and I thought, oh, I don't need to be around people, I'm good. But really, we're social beings, and we need connection. It's a fundamental need that we have as humans, connection. So you want to make sure that you have connection in your life. And I think because of even though the pandemic has, we've certainly moved through a lot of it, and pretty much everything's opened up back to normal. There's still been this ripple effect on our psyche where a lot of people are maybe less inclined to be a part of social experiences and activities. And you may have forgotten what that's like. I know even before the pandemic, I was so much more social and going out more and around people more. And then when the pandemic happened, and even when it kind of ended, I was less inclined to be around people. So I needed to purposefully push myself to be back around people again. So this one change, just by having some kind of social experience that also gets my body moving, was such a game changer for me as, someone who is completely self-employed. I am my own boss. So it's almost like, you become a manager to yourself. So you give yourself something that you must be accountable and responsible to show up for. And for me, it just so happened to be those group fitness exercises every morning during the week. Okay. Now, another thing that you'll want to do to support you to avoid entrepreneurial loneliness or heal it if you are going through it is to find events to attend. Okay. You want to find events that you can attend throughout every week. If you could find at least one event to go to, it could be a networking event. It could be some kind of group that shares a hobby that you share. I really am a huge fan of meetup.com. You can search just about anything there. There's all kinds of groups that get together, whether it be hiking groups, board game groups, whatever it might be, mixers, networking events, singles groups. There's really groups for everything. And you want to make sure that you're incorporating social events in your calendar. Now, if you come from that corporate 9-to-5 culture where you're going to an office all day, you probably, even though you may have despised the corporate culture and you couldn't stand the work you were doing and all of this, right? When you make that shift into entrepreneurship and being your own boss, even though you're creating a life that's more fulfilling and meaningful, and you're also, creating a platform for you to make more than you could have ever imagined, you still are also making a huge difference in your social atmosphere, right? Because even if you're going to a job you can't stand, you are at least around people and you're interacting with people. So you're having that social connection, and you want to make sure that you create that for yourself as an entrepreneur. And again, this is something that's not really taught and discussed and encouraged with entrepreneurs. So I want to make sure you, as a starting entrepreneur or a growing entrepreneur, whatever phase you're at, that you buffer this into your lifestyle and you make sure that you prioritize social connection and engagement in your life. Okay, so find events or groups that you can be a part of, communities that you can be a part of. One of the reasons why a lot of our students love being in Thriving Coach Academy is because of the community aspect of it. So you get to connect with and collaborate with coaches from all around the world. And, this is very important. You don't want to be alone on your journey. You want to have a community that you can connect with. You want to have people that support you, understand you. So all of our coaches, even though it's a virtual program, there's so much live instruction and live interaction. So they're able to, be able to have that social connection to keep their spirits up and their energy high as they're building up their business. I know we have a lot of our coaches, even like when they're traveling, they meet up with other coaches, they fly out to see each other in person, which is so cool. I love hearing those stories. So in summary, the three things I did, I shared two of them so far. One was to create some structure, creating structure in your day, especially like in your morning, that gets you out of bed, gets you around people. Second is to find networking or events, any kind of social groups or events that you can attend, find those. And then the third tip I recommend is getting outside every day. Okay, so there might be a comfort that part of your brain has for staying inside and just being able to work from your computer. And I remember sometimes I would just spend several days just in my home, and I would almost feel like I was getting cabin fever, like just when you just feel a little bit off from being inside for several days at a time. And like, I need to go outside. I just need to get fresh air. So I encourage you every day, especially if you're working as a solopreneur, you're by yourself, get outside every day, just walk around your neighborhood, walk around a park, walk around the grocery store, whatever it is, just be around people, get yourself outside, get your body moving. Okay. So these are some tips to handle entrepreneurial loneliness. If you've gone through it, if you're in it right now, I want you to know that, it is possible to get through this. And I believe that these tips will help you for sure. Okay. So the most important thing is to keep yourself connected with others, have intentionality in your calendar. Even if you're your own boss and you're working by yourself, you still want to make sure that you have that social connection. So that way you keep your energy up. All right, that's what I got on entrepreneurial loneliness. This was, of course, kind of vulnerable to share because it is a real challenge that I've gone through. And, at every phase of my business, I have different challenges. And part of why I created this podcast is to help you avoid those challenges or minimize the impact of certain challenges. So this is a very real one that I went through recently. And, I hope that it's been helpful for you. So thanks for listening. Before we finish this episode, I'm going to include a clip from one of our graduates so they can share their story with you and enjoy their story. And I'll see you in the next episode.
My name is Amal Daraisa, and the moment I discovered coaching and that this is something that I wanted to do was when I was working with a very challenging student at my school. That's when coaching appeared as my final resort to help him. And it was like a light bulb. And I remember exactly what he said that made me stop and pause. And he said, I never thought of this way. And I knew right there and then that something really cool is happening right now. Something really profound is happening right now. Being an educator and working in an institution where I felt I was boxed, I felt that coaching gave me the freedom to extend my expertise and reach out to people in a way that my profession didn't allow me. It also, coaching gave me control over the decision making, what I wanted to do, my schedule, flexibility. I felt like with flexibility, I could be more creative. I could be more authentic. I wanted to make a difference without the constraints of the institution that I was working in. It was just trying to follow what I wanted to do, what I felt I was meant to do. And coaching gave me that. As educators, what we have to do, or what we're trained to do or told to do, is this is the goal of every student. So the goals of students are already fixed and presented. And sometimes that really robs students from pursuing their dreams, being creative, or finding out who they are and following their desires and passions. Most of our work, 95% of the work, is so the student can get a good grade. And we know that there's more to education than just getting a good grade. Coaching allows us to do that. Coaching allows us to help people reach their potential, be the best version of themselves and celebrate that. And so that, I think that's why you may see many educators, entertaining the thought of becoming a coach, because that's the calling of an educator. I needed a sign, I needed answers, because this coaching desire that has been in me, I did try to fight it for a while. I'm like, no, I need to stay with what I'm doing. It's okay. I'm going through a phase or something, and it just, I couldn't shake it off, that there was something wrong. I stumbled upon Frank's podcast, and that was it. That was the deciding point that I need to contact Frank. So there's so many things that I like about the Academy. First I could talk about is the material. So when Frank sent me the materials, which was shocking to me that he would send them overseas to Abu Dhabi, where I work and reside right now. So that was amazing. I didn't expect that, but it was like, oh, you're going to send me the materials? You mean it's not online or something I have to get on my own? And he was like, no, give me your address. We will get it out right now. But when I saw the material, the way as an educator, I look at things like the language, how it's presented, how easy it was to read and understand. The organization of the material was just phenomenal. I felt like it spoke to multiple types of learners, and those are things that we pay attention as educators. But to my surprise, even though when I attended Module 1 and Module 2, not only did that material, spoke to multiple types of learners, even the way Frank presented the material and the pacing and the modeling spoke to multiple types of learners. So it doesn't matter what type of learner you are or what pace you're at or what level you're at. The material, the way it's organized, the way it's presented, and the way it's modeled really speaks to all people, and anyone and everyone can benefit and learn. The Academy stretched me. I've been pushed out of my comfort zone in a very positive way, where I am in a safe environment to grow, to learn, and to just discover things about myself and skills and confidence that, although I knew I had all those things, but it took it to a different level. And that's something I will always, value and cherish. When any person, embarks on something really new, I mean, there's always going to be some, some insecurities that might surface, some doubts, some hesitations, and definitely I had some of those when I considered the Academy. The most obvious was two things that come to mind is the financial aspect and also having a job. And then I thought to myself, I can come up with 101 excuses not to do this, but I just needed to come up with one reason to do it. And that had to break the bank, as they say, and just move forward. I felt like all my life that things, even though I've chosen my degree and I've gotten that and all that, but I always felt like somebody had a say, somebody had a finger in it, in that decision making. And joining the Academy was for the first time I felt my decision, no influences but myself. And I'm putting myself first. And it made me even think that I don't want to live a life of regrets or what if, should have, did I, all these ifs and buts. But sometimes you don't realize that until you plunge, you take the plunge and you step. So that is the most difficult step to take, is take the plunge first. And then you realize that you're living a life with no regrets and you're actually doing something for yourself. At this moment, I have 2 paying clients, and it's been great. And as a coach in training, and due to the material in the program that I'm in that is laid out, everything's so clear for me step by step to follow, I was able to get those 2 paid clients. And they are loving every minute of it and continue to renew and sign up for more sessions with me. I really, really contribute that a great deal to the Academy, the training that I've gotten, the material that is well laid out and clear. It's just really remarkable. I can see that there's potential for me to work with administrators, to work with leaders in educational communities, to help bring staff and collaboration to the highest level to serve students the best that they can. What makes this Academy stand out in comparison to others is that this Academy just doesn't give you the information and train you. They take you as far as you need to go to build your own business. It doesn't stop there. That's important. It is very challenging for anyone at any level to say, okay, I've done the training. How do I get a client? The Academy's there to tell you. Okay, now that I got a client, How do I organize my finances? How do I find my niche? The Academy's there for you. And I like that you're not left hanging alone. What I would say to prospective students is take it from someone who's been there, who's tried it. You will not regret it. You will walk away with an experience that you've never had before. You will see things in a different light, and you have nothing to lose. Go for it.
Hey, would you like access to powerful coaching tools you can use on yourself and clients right away? For being a listener of the podcast, I'm giving you a VIP guest pass to get a sneak peek into my coach training program. Inside, you'll learn our coaches' secret tool they use to transform their clients' lives. And you'll also get a training on how to launch a coaching business. Just head over to www.thrivingcoachacademy.com/VIP to get started. I'll see you on the inside.